and welcome to my channel. I am Stephanie. This is week 33, August the 14th through August the 20th, weekly wrap up. As I said, this is the week 33. Last week was pretty tame, being that I had surgery on Monday and then I had recovery. All through that time, they scratched my throat, intubating me because I had to do general anesthesia. So I was completely out for the whole procedure and stuff like that. Healing is on the mend. I'm on the mend. That's good. Everything like that. So that was awesome. But I did get a whole bunch of books read. Well, on par for me, the norm of 4 or 5 books, I think it is. I think that's what the thumbnail had on there. 5 books. Yeah. But anyways, read 5 books and they were pretty good. Pretty good. And started the next week off feeling pretty good as well. There was something else I was supposed to tell you guys. What else was I going to tell you? Oh my goodness. So we have this Let Me Introduce You video coming out this week on Thursday at noon. It is a premiere. School is back in this week, which means I will have more time to do content creation, which means you guys will be getting videos ad nauseum in the upcoming weeks. Seriously. Also, if there are any authors that are interested, I've reached out to a few but haven't had any contact back, what have you. If I have read your book already, or if I have read some of your books and things like that, and you're interested in joining in on the Let Me Introduce You series of interviews, please reach out, contact me, fill out the form down in the description box so I can contact you, so that we can get an interview done. I do need to get September, October, November, December's videos recorded and, start getting those in production and things like that. So hopefully authors will reach out. Please do. Also, what else? I am starting to, if you hadn't heard, I am starting to release my 2021 and up until present weekly wrap-ups that I have been doing for Patreon exclusive. Now I'm just going to be releasing them, allowing you guys to check them out. So if there has been a book or a review that you had been looking for that I had done in the past year and a half or so that you hadn't been able to see, it will be coming, so you'll be able to start seeing them, start viewing them. So other than that, let's jump into the books that I did finish last week. I have lots of thoughts because next week I will be doing some television and book reviews and things like that, because I'm recording this on a Monday and I've already I have thoughts on some things already. So first book that I finished was Only One Chance, which is Only One, number 2 by Natasha, Madison, placing this in sports romance, giving it 4.25 stars, giving it 3 Steam fans. Had this as an audiobook through Hoopla. Woo, this is a slow burn, you guys. This is Layla and this is Miller. Layla is a sports radio journalist personality, and she ends up getting entangled with Miller, who is the bad boy hockey player and has been kind of pining over Layla for a little while. And when she wins a date through an auction, a bachelor auction date thing with Miller, she ends up setting him up with a family member. And let me just say, the family member kind of stole this story just a little bit, just a tiny bit. But they do finally, fall for their attraction towards each other, and we get our happily ever after. I don't know that I could say this is my favorite or most memorable story out of this series or series of spin-offs, but it was good for what it was. Then I finished Royally Not Ready by Meghan Quinn, placing this in rom-com. Wow, could not get that out. Rom-com. royalty romance, and we given this 4.5 stars, giving it 4 Steam fans. I actually had the arc for this but wasn't able to read it before the release happened, so I actually got the audiobook as well. Yes, so I purchased the audiobook, by the way, because I love Meghan Quinn, and yeah, if I can consume her books through audiobook, that is the way that I prefer to read her books, just because she be picking some good audiobook narrators and they be bringing her books to life. I didn't think that JP could be topped, and he still hasn't, but Keller, he's pushing his way up there. So Keller is the right-hand man, head secretary to this royal, that the royal is sick and he needs to find Lily, who is the granddaughter, and a princess, because things, you're the king and you want to let your family be who they are, and that's what he ended up doing. Lily's parents actually died in a unfortunate way, and Keller is working with Lily to kind of bring her in and give her the family that she had been missing. But at the same time, Keller is trying to do what's best for his country that he absolutely loves, and the two of them and the banter was just on point. There is BDSM play in this book. We have found family and lost family relationships, and just dealing with this kind of heavy sort of topics, but at the same time really fun way of bringing all those things together. And I was just here for it. I was like, yes, give me more. The grumpy sunshine thing just did it for me in this book, and was just what I needed for my recovery week. The next book that I finished was Saved by Hazel James, placing this in military romance / second chance / recovery redemption story. Oh gosh, oh my goodness, guys. So I'm giving this book 4.25 stars. There were some things that were kind of missing for me, but at the same time, the story drew me in. Giving it 3 Steam fans, had this as an ebook on KU. I have been sort of following Hazel over on TikTok for a little while, and this book interested me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna broaden my horizons with the authors that I follow or that I read that have military ties. I like to hear when an author has either been personally connected with the military and then they decide to write a military romance, or that they have served, things like that, because that kind of sets you guys on a higher bar. I don't mean to scare you guys. But I find that if there is no military connection for the author to write a military story, it doesn't come off right. And this story did not do that. Hazel did an amazing job at telling the story of Leilani, who is an amputee due to an injury while she was in Iraq, and kind of rebuilding her life, getting it back on track. She also has some health issues that she ends up having. She loses a limb, and then she has to come back and deal with that, rehab from that, get her life back from that, but then is hit with this illness that is just can go so many different ways. And the way that she decides to rebuild herself is to move out of her parents' house, move to this project called Oklahoma, and ends up working for Clay, who is also a recovering from some addictions and some hard times and things like that, but he's also a co-founder of the project Oklahoma. And I was just like, ooh, I enjoyed that this was a slow burn. They didn't necessarily go into depth on the steps of recovery or anything like that. It still had a real feeling to it, but it didn't pound you over the head with the recovery aspect of things or the redemption arc of it. And it gave a good story. There's also some mystery and suspense that goes along with it. There's some other topics that are sort of touched on. So there are content warnings for PTSD, for therapy, for disability representation. I want to say there's suicidal ideologies, I think it is, depression, and a couple of other things that if you want to know, check out my Goodreads, which by the way I'm behind on, so I wouldn't go like run out check like right now. But the author does give trigger warnings, I believe, in the beginning of her book or at the end. But there are some other heavy topics that are talked about as well. But overall, I enjoyed the story of how Clay and Leilani came together. I did feel like the ending wasn't necessarily a happily ever after, but she gives us an epilogue that gives us that happily ever after. So I kind of wish that it wasn't labeled as an epilogue and it had just been a continuation of, you know, maybe a time jump or something like that for the chapter. You know, here's this ending chapter, and then you have like a time jump of, you know, this many months later and this is what happened type thing, instead of calling it an epilogue, because the ending chapter didn't feel like that happily ever after. And I know some people that don't read epilogues. In this, you need to read the epilogue to get your happily ever after. The next book that I finished was Blissful. How did I not? Let me try that again. Blissful Masquerade, which is Ruthless Desires #1 by Elira Firethorn, if I am not mistaken, that's how we pronounce that. This is a TikTok author that I found and decided to pick up this series. This is a Why Choose series, and I was like, okay. The author does give content warnings in the beginning of her book. I'm giving this book 3.5 stars, giving it 4 Steam fans because the Steam was top notch. It was top notch. Had it as an ebook. It is available on KU right now. And the content warnings are body shaming, degradation, BDSM, play, and polyamorous relationships, I guess you could say, or couplings. There were some things that I was just like, I don't know how this is going to work out. So we have Ren, who goes to this masquerade ball and ends up meeting Rhett, Oliver, and Elliot. Maybe I missed something, but they have some kind of connection prior to the masquerade ball, and then they end up connecting and are like, oh, I didn't know that you liked me like that, but I'm going to go ahead and go home with you guys, and we're going to make a weekend out of it. I do feel a little cheated that, yes, this is a series. I knew it was a series going into it. It was clearly labeled a book 1, but it was less than 150 pages, and I am not fond of novellas that are broken up into series. That kind of bothers me, and had this series not been available on KU, I probably would not be finishing it, because back in the beginning of my reading journey, I got completely drawn into a series that was broken down like this, where every single book was $2.99 and every single book had a little bit of a part, and it was only a novella, and it was just 27 books later. You do the math, because I'm not doing the math, but that's a lot of money to input into these books to not get a finished story. So yeah, that sort of rubbed me the wrong way. The next book and final book that I finished last week was Ivory White, which is House of Misfits #1 by Cambria Hebert. Placing this in fairy tale retelling reimagining, new adult, and I give this one 4 stars, give it 3 Steam fans. Had this as an audiobook, also got it through KU, audiobook on Hoopla, and KU as ebook, so I could follow along. This, we have Ivory White, who is this upper New Yorker that is, in her ivory castle, but that is abducted one day, not really abducted, but kind of beaten up and then kind of put into the bad side of town, where she ends up meeting Neo. Neo ends up saving her, and through that saving, he ends up taking Ivory to his home, where we end up meeting Bo, Fletcher, and Earth. And the four guys are living in one apartment, and you kind of get their taste of life and things like that. I think the thing with me was that, for one, it felt entirely too long, and it didn't necessarily feel like a retelling of or reimagining of Snow White. It felt like, I'm going to take the story of Snow White that everyone knows and tell it in a modern sort of way, which made the story super long, guys, super long. And Ivory was just really kind of annoying. I think for me, Snow White herself, that we have seen portrayed, annoys me. And it's that sort of hoity-toity, I am better than you and you have to do things the way that I want them to be, sort of personality trait that was included in this book, that I was just like, she's so annoying. She's so annoying. And we don't get any spicy scenes until probably, I want to say, like 60% of the book, so no worries there. It is a new adult book, so there is spice that is included, but it is massively into the book, and you're just like, okay, oh, we're finally getting spice? Okay. And I just think that it was just too long. I am interested to find out some of the other characters that have books, because this is a series, and I'm interested in the covers for them, because they are very, very interesting. So they're other retellings. So I'm interested to see how everything ends up playing out. Hopefully they are all either coming to audiobook or going to be on audiobook. But yeah, this one was quite long. So, but I did enjoy past that annoyance, although I did roll my eyes quite a bit. What am I currently reading? I am currently reading Cruel Desire by K.A. Linde, Tattooed Hearts by Mika Jolie, and Husband Material by Alexis Hall. I'm also reading some secret arcs and projects and things like that I won't be talking about, so I don't even know why I mentioned it, but I am reading other books, of course. And I'll be reading, books from authors that I hope to be interviewing soon. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Like I said, if you're an author and you've made it this far and you want to participate in my Let Me Introduce You series, which has a video coming out on Thursday at noon as a premiere, please contact me with the form down below. If you are a viewer and there's an author that you think I should reach out to, please use the author suggestion form down there. Also, there is a feedback form down in the description box so you guys can help me improve my channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in another video. If you come with me tonight, I can show you things you'll never see.